The smell of butter and toast filled the air as you flipped the last pancake onto the plate. The golden stack looked perfect, soft, fluffy, just the way Jungkook liked. Beside it, the sandwich sat crisp and warm, the cheese melting slightly at the edges. You smiled faintly, placing everything neatly on the table. For once, everything was ready on time. Your stomach growled, reminding you that you hadn't eaten yet, but you ignored it. You wanted to eat with him. It had been weeks since the last time you both sat together for breakfast. Every morning, you would wake up a little too late, and by the time you entered the kitchen, Jungkook would already be halfway out the door, coat in one hand, phone in the other. But today was different. You'd woken up early. You had been careful not to burn anything. You even set the table the way he liked. 2 glasses of orange juice, his coffee on the right, your plate on the left. You smiled softly as you imagined his expression when he saw it. Maybe he'd even compliment you this time. Just as you were pouring the syrup onto the pancake, you heard his voice coming from the stairs. Jungkook, don't worry, I'm on my way. Yeah, I'll be there soon. Just stuck in traffic, that's all. You froze, your hand pausing midair as you turned to look at him. He was descending the stairs quickly, one hand adjusting his wristwatch, the other holding the phone to his ear. He didn't even look toward the kitchen toward you. He didn't even notice you standing there. He just kept walking, his phone pressed to his ear, heading straight for the door. Your heart sank at the small act of ignorance, and before you could stop yourself, you called his name quietly. Yin. Jungkook. He stopped mid-step, his head turned toward you, and his brows lifted slightly, almost surprised. His eyes softened for a second like he had just realized you were there all along. Still holding the phone close, he muttered quickly, Jungkook, yes, the medications, I'll prescribe them after reaching, just hold on for a moment. He hung up, finally facing you properly. Yes, Yin. You hesitated, your eyes dropping to the plates on the table. Yin, breakfast. He sighed softly, guilt flickering in his eyes before duty took over again. Jungkook, it's okay. You have it. I'm in a bit of a rush. Your chest tightened. You had woken up early, cooked for him, waited, and now he was leaving again. Before you could even reply, his phone rang once more, his jaw tensed. The sound was enough to show his frustration. Jungkook, yes, Dr. Tyler. Yeah, I'm on my way. He turned toward the door again, but your small, hopeful voice stopped him. Yin, should I pack it? You can eat later. He paused, holding the phone away from his face for a second. His expression softened a little when he looked back at you. Jungkook, it's okay. I'll grab something from the canteen. You eat on time, okay? Don't skip it. He sounded gentle, but distant. He didn't want to hurt you, yet somehow, he still did. And with that, he slipped out of the door, the sound of it closing echoing through the quiet kitchen. You stood there for a moment, staring at the plates you had prepared with so much love. The pancakes now seemed dull, the sandwich cold, the orange juice still and untouched. You pressed your lips together, trying to hold back the small ache that rose in your throat. Yin, I don't even feel like eating anymore. You pulled out a chair and sat down, staring at the food. It wasn't that you were angry. It was that emptiness that hurt. You just wanted to share something simple with him, a breakfast, a smile, a few words before his day began. But lately, all your mornings ended the same way, with silence and a closing door. Your fingers brushed the fork, but you couldn't lift it. You sighed softly. Yin, maybe later. The food would stay there, waiting, just like you always did. The clock ticked softly on the wall. The light from the television flickered across the quiet living room. You sat on the couch, the remote heavy in your hand, flipping through channel after channel without really seeing any of it. The same bright shows, the same laughter. All of it felt too loud for how you felt inside. You leaned forward, elbows resting on your knees, your head hanging low as your eyes burned. You were exhausted, not just physically, but deep in your chest where the day had bruised you. You had finally resigned from your job to seek higher positions. You thought it would feel freeing, but instead, it only made you anxious. The countless interviews, the polite rejections, the hopeful messages left unanswered, it was all piling up, suffocating you. You had cried earlier, quietly, in the bathroom where no one could see. He was a man of responsibility, a famous surgeon. Everyone wanted him, hospitals, patients, news reporters. Everyone except you. Tonight, you only wanted him to come home and sit beside you. Just once, just talk, maybe laugh a little. You had even tried calling him in the evening. He had picked up, his voice calm but rushed. I'll come soon, love. Just finishing something important. You had smiled through the phone, Okay, don't take too long. He didn't mean to break promises, but he often did. Now, as the hour hand crossed 12, your hope began to fade. The television light blurred as your eyelids grew heavy. You kept trying to keep them open, telling yourself, just 5 more minutes, he'll come. But 5 minutes became 15, and your body couldn't hold out any longer. Your hand slipped from the remote, falling softly onto your lap. Your body shifted sideways on the couch, your head resting against the armrest. The faint sound of the television played while you slowly drifted off, your chest rising and falling in a soft rhythm. Almost an hour later, the sound of a key turning in the lock echoed faintly through the hall. The front door opened slowly, and Jungkook stepped inside, shoulders slouched, his white coat hanging over his arm. The dim yellow light from the hall brushed over his tired face, his hair slightly messy, his eyes dull from long hours under hospital lights. He closed the door quietly, setting his keys on the table. He loosened his tie with a deep sigh, rubbing the back of his neck. His knees ached. His hands smelled faintly of disinfectant, and all he could think about was collapsing in bed. But then, he heard the television. His brows furrowed slightly. The soft murmur of voices came from the living room. Jungkook muttered to himself, voice low. Jungkook, she's still awake. He walked towards the sound, his steps soft against the tiled floor. When he turned the corner, his heart stopped for a moment. There you were, curled up on the couch, asleep under the blue light of the TV. Your head had fallen to one side, your hair scattered messily over your cheek. Your hand still held the remote loosely, your lips slightly parted as you breathed softly. The sight hit him like a quiet ache. Jungkook stood there for a few seconds, frozen, his tiredness suddenly replaced by guilt. His chest felt heavy as realization sank in. You had waited for him. He remembered your call, the way you had said, come home early, the soft tone of your voice. He had told you he'd try. He hadn't, Jungkook whispered under his breath, voice soft and guilty. Jungkook, oh my god, Yin. He stepped closer and crouched beside you. His eyes softened the instant he saw your face properly, your lashes resting against your skin, your lips slightly dry from waiting so long, your face peaceful now but tired. He sighed quietly, his thumb brushing away a loose strand of hair from your face. His fingers lingered for a second, tracing your cheek gently as his chest filled with warmth and guilt. Jungkook, you waited for me, didn't you? He murmured to himself, his lips curling in a sad smile. His eyes drifted down to your small hand resting beside you, your fingers cold against the air. Slowly, he lifted it and pressed his lips against your palm. Your skin was soft, warm, and for that moment, all the exhaustion from his day faded. Jungkook, you're so beautiful, he whispered quietly, his voice almost trembling. How lucky I am to have you. He stayed like that for a while, his head resting against your hand, his eyes closing, taking in your quiet presence. But when he opened them again, he frowned slightly. You shouldn't be sleeping there. The couch was too hard, the room too cold. He reached out carefully, sliding one arm under your knees and the other around your shoulders. You stirred a little, a faint hum leaving your lips, your head falling against his neck. Jungkook froze for a second, then smiled softly, whispering near your ear, Jungkook, shh. I got you. He lifted you gently and began walking toward the bedroom. His arms ached from the long day, but holding you like this felt different, grounding, precious. Your hair brushed against his jaw, your breath tickling his neck softly. When he reached the bedroom, he laid you down gently on the bed, adjusting your pillow so your head rested comfortably. You turned slightly in your sleep, one hand reaching out unconsciously, and it landed over his wrist. He froze, staring at your small hand holding him even in your sleep. He smiled faintly and placed your hand back on the blanket, tucking it close to your body. He remembered the morning, how your face had fallen when he said he couldn't eat breakfast with you. He remembered how your voice had softened, almost breaking, when you said, should I pack it? He didn't mean to ignore you, but he did. He ran his hand through your hair and let out a low sigh. Jungkook, I'm sorry, Yin. The words felt heavy in the air. He sat on the edge of the bed for a while, just watching you. The blanket rose and fell with every breath you took. You looked so peaceful, yet so far away from him, like the distance between you two had quietly grown without either of you noticing. Jungkook finally leaned forward, pressing a soft kiss on your forehead. Tomorrow, he murmured, I'll wake up early. I'll make breakfast myself. We'll eat together. No calls, no rushing. He turned off the bedside lamp, letting the moonlight wash over the room. And as he lay beside you quietly, his fingers brushed against yours under the blanket. That was enough for him tonight. The next morning came early, the first light of dawn barely seeping through the curtains when Jungkook quietly made his way to the kitchen. He had promised himself, today would be different. Today, he would make it up to you. The kitchen smelled of butter and toasted bread. Steam rose gently from the pot on the stove as he stirred the soup carefully, tasting it every few minutes, trying to make it perfect. His sleeves were rolled up, hair slightly messy from just waking, and his apron hung awkwardly on his frame. He wanted to make it right. He wanted to be the husband you deserved. He had already texted the hospital, telling them he'd be late. His phone buzzed with a few messages from his assistant, but he ignored them. He knew exactly when you usually woke up. Before you even stirred in bed, he had already turned off your alarm, wanting you to wake up peacefully, not to the annoying beeps, but to him. He wanted you to see him home. He wanted you to smile because of him. For over an hour and a half, Jungkook worked in silence. He set the table slowly, taking care with each plate. He planned to add a candle, maybe even play some music. He imagined the way your sleepy eyes would widen when you'd see him in the kitchen, and the shy smile you'd try to hide. But before he could finish plating, he froze. The faint sound of footsteps echoed down the stairs. His heartbeat skipped. Jungkook, oh no, he whispered under his breath, eyes darting toward the half-finished table. He still had soup to pour, toast to butter, and you were already awake? He panicked, trying to move quickly. He wanted this to be perfect, not look like he was struggling to finish breakfast like a clumsy child. He quickly wiped his hands and grabbed the bowl, pretending he was calmly plating, though his heartbeat said otherwise. Then, you appeared in the doorway. You stopped, eyes blinking softly at the sight in front of you. Your husband, standing in the kitchen in his white shirt, sleeves rolled up, holding a large bowl of soup with a slightly panicked expression. For a moment, you just stared. Then your soft voice reached him. You weren't used to this sight, him at home this late in the morning, let alone cooking. Your brows lifted, surprise flickering in your eyes before your lips curved into a small, faint smile. Yin, hey, you're still here, you said, blinking sleepily as you walked in, your hair slightly messy from sleep, a loose shirt hanging off one shoulder. No work today? Your tone was innocent, almost surprised, but your words made something inside him twist. You weren't accusing, but he could feel the hidden disbelief behind your question. It broke his heart that you sounded so used to him not being there. Jungkook turned to look at you, and for a second, his heart actually skipped a beat. You looked soft, sleepy, beautiful. Your hair was still messy, your oversized shirt hanging loose. He looked down for a second, a shy smile tugging at his lips. Jungkook, I do have work, he said slowly, but I thought maybe I could. He trailed off, fumbling with the words, rubbing the back of his neck awkwardly. You tilted your head, waiting for him to finish, your heart already warming just from watching him try. But before he could speak, the sharp ring of the doorbell cut him off. The both of you turned your heads toward the sound at the same time. Jungkook frowned instantly. Jungkook, who could that be this early? He mumbled, placing the bowl down. Yin, I'll get it, you said softly, already walking toward the door before he could stop you. Jungkook froze where he was, his stomach tightening with a sudden bad feeling, and when he heard the familiar voice from the door, his heart sank completely. Yin, Mom? Your voice carried through the hallway. Jungkook's head snapped up, his eyes widened slightly. He peeked from the kitchen doorway and saw his mother standing there, bright and cheerful as always, and right beside her, his younger brother, Jongsu, grinning widely. Right, he'd completely forgotten. His mother had texted him 2 days ago that they'd come over early in the morning, but in the rush of yesterday's guilt, he hadn't remembered at all. He had wanted this morning to be for you. He had delayed his entire schedule, turned off your alarm, and planned to make you smile, just once. And now, with his mother walking into the house, that plan was slipping through his fingers again. From your side, a different kind of silence bloomed in your chest. The smile on your face faltered just slightly when you turned back and saw Jungkook standing there. The table he was setting, the soup he was making, all of it clicked in your mind. It wasn't a surprise breakfast for you, it was for them. Yin, hey mom, hey, Jongsu, come in, you greeted brightly, stepping aside and forcing the widest smile you could manage. Your voice carried the same warmth it always did, though deep down you were still confused and caught off guard by their sudden appearance. Your mother-in-law entered first, elegant as always, her floral perfume wrapping the air around you. I hope Jungkook told you we were coming, dear, she said, setting her handbag on the small cabinet near the door. Your eyes blinked rapidly. told me?" Your chest tightened for a moment, but before your silence could expose the truth, you looked toward Jungkook. He stood near the kitchen entrance, his shoulders stiff, a guilty expression flashing across his face. You smiled quickly, hiding your confusion. "Yin, oh yes mom, he did. Please come in." Your voice was calm, but your heart sank. Good, she said warmly, patting your arm before stepping inside, her heels clicking softly against the wooden floor. Then came Jongsu, dragging a black suitcase behind him. He looked fresh, casual, and somehow full of energy even this early in the morning. "Jongsu, hey Yin, how are you?" he asked, flashing that boyish grin. Before you could even answer, his arms wrapped around you in a quick, friendly hug. You froze for a second. His enthusiasm always caught people off guard, then smiled softly, patting his back. "Yin, I'm fine, Jongsu," you said as you both pulled away. "It's nice to see you again. Long time, huh?" He chuckled. "Jongsu, yeah, too long. I missed you both." But honestly, he leaned closer, teasing, "I think I missed you a little more." You laughed lightly, shaking your head. "Yin, still the same, I see." Across the room, Jungkook stood frozen near the counter, gripping a towel in his hand. His jaw tightened at the sight, not out of anger, but something deeper. It was that small, uncomfortable burn in his chest that came whenever another man made you laugh like that, especially his own brother. He forced his face neutral, clearing his throat. "Ah, Jungkook," his mother exclaimed suddenly, glancing toward the kitchen. "You're done making breakfast, I see." He turned to her, snapping out of his daze. "Jungkook, oh yes, mom, it's all ready. Perfect timing," she said cheerfully, making her way to the dining table. Jungkook's eyes darted back to you again. You and Jongsu were walking toward the table, still chatting casually, and his chest tightened further when he saw the suitcase in Jongsu's hand. "Yin, you're staying here?" you asked curiously, eyeing the luggage. Jongsu nodded, adjusting his sleeve. "Jongsu, yeah, I got an internship nearby, just for a week. Mom thought it'd be better if I stayed here instead of the dorms." Your lips curled into a smile. "Yin, that's great. At least I'll have some company while Jungkook's busy at work all day." You said it so simply, so innocently, but it hit Jungkook like a dart. He swallowed hard, pretending to check the soup on the stove, but guilt flickered behind his eyes. You didn't mean it harshly, but he knew it was true. You were lonely. Before the silence could stretch, Jungkook forced a small smile and spoke. "Jungkook, so, won't you greet me, Jongsu?" Jongsu looked up, grinning. "Jongsu, oh right, my bad brother." He walked over and hugged Jungkook quickly, but his teasing tone didn't fade. "What can I do? Your beautiful wife always steals the spotlight." You laughed again from behind him, covering your mouth shyly, and the sound made Jungkook's heart clench. That laugh, pure and soft, something he hadn't heard in weeks, and now, hearing it because of someone else, it hurt more than he'd admit. He smiled faintly, though his eyes told a different story. "Jungkook, let's eat," he said quietly, as if trying to hold something back. He gestured toward the seat beside him, but before you could move, Jongsu quickly pulled out the chair next to him. "Jongsu, Yin, come here," he said warmly, motioning for you to sit. You hesitated for half a second, glancing briefly at Jungkook. His face was calm, too calm, so you smiled softly and sat beside Jongsu, not thinking much of it. Jungkook exhaled, jaw flexing slightly, his hands folded too neatly in his lap as if to hide his irritation. His mother's cheerful chatter filled the air. "The table looks lovely. Jungkook, you've learned to cook quite well." He smiled faintly. "Jungkook, thank you, Mom." You lifted your gaze, meeting his for a brief second. His expression was soft, almost apologetic, and your chest fluttered for a moment. But then Jongsu leaned closer, showing you something on his phone, and you smiled again, breaking that fragile eye contact. The breakfast that was supposed to be his and yours, his small chance to reconnect, was now filled with laughter, chatter, and people he hadn't planned for, and the only person he wanted to share it with was sitting beside someone else. The next morning came quietly, sunlight spilling gently through curtains of the master bedroom. Jungkook stood in front of the mirror, buttoning up his shirt, though his mind wasn't steady at all. His reflection looked calm, but his eyes betrayed the truth. He hadn't slept much. All night he had tossed and turned, staring at the ceiling and thinking about one thing. You and Jongsu, the idea of both of you staying in the same house while he'd be away at work gnawed at him. Every time he closed his eyes, unwanted images filled his head. The two of you, talking, laughing, maybe sitting too close. He rubbed his forehead and let out a quiet sigh, sliding his watch onto his wrist. Why am I thinking like this? He told himself, but even reason couldn't silence the dull ache in his chest. He grabbed his coat and wallet, then walked out of the room. The house was unusually lively this morning. Faint clinking of dishes, laughter, the smell of freshly brewed coffee drifting up from downstairs. As he stepped onto the staircase, he froze. That laugh, your laugh, soft, bright, but this time it mixed with another voice, Jongsu's. He stayed still for a second on the steps, gripping the railing. His jaw tightened slightly. They're laughing together, he thought, his brows furrowing faintly. After a few seconds, he continued walking down. The sight greeted him. You were sitting at the dining table, your hair tied loosely, still wearing your light home clothes, a cream-colored top and soft shorts. There was a cup of coffee in your hand, and you looked relaxed, comfortable, almost glowing in the morning light. Across from you sat Jongsu, laughing at something his mother had said. The three of you looked comfortable. Oh, here comes Jungkook, his mother said warmly, spotting him first. She stood up, picking up her purse from the table. You turned your head slightly, your voice soft but polite. Yin, good morning. Jongsu smiled casually. Jongsu, morning, Jungkook. Jungkook nodded slightly, his eyes scanning the table. Plates filled with food, pancakes stacked neatly, fruit slices arranged beautifully, and 2 cups already half empty. Jungkook, morning, he replied simply, his tone calm but distant. His mother smiled at him, fixing her dress. We were waiting for you, dear. Can you drop me home on your way to the hospital? Jungkook, of course, Mom, he said, his eyes still glancing at the table. It's not something you have to ask for. She smiled lovingly and reached out to touch your shoulder. Thank you for the breakfast, Yin. You really take care of the house so well. You smiled, standing up politely. Yin, it's nothing, Mom. You don't have to thank me. Jungkook's gaze softened for a second as he looked at you. He watched silently as you picked up a plate, refilling Jongsu's cup of coffee without being asked. It was a small gesture, but it hit him harder than it should have. His mother noticed his silence. All right then, let's go, Jungkook. I'll be late if we don't leave now. Jungkook, yeah, let's go, he said shortly. Jungkook followed his mother toward the door, but his steps slowed near the kitchen entrance. He turned his head slightly, his heart sank a little. Won't she say something? Tell me to eat first, call my name. But you didn't. You kept eating, chatting lightly, and Jungkook forced himself to turn away. It had already been 4 days since Jongsu moved in. 4 long, dragging days that felt like someone had quietly shifted the balance of the house without Jungkook noticing. Technically, the 3 of you were living together, but realistically, it felt like you and Jongsu. Jungkook barely had time to breathe. His days disappeared in endless surgeries and reports, while his nights blurred into exhausted drives back home. He'd enter the house past midnight, sometimes after 1 a.m., dragging his tired body through the same dark hallway, hoping, each night, that maybe you'd still be awake, maybe waiting for him like before. But these past few nights had been different. The house didn't feel lonely anymore, just occupied without him. This night too, he opened the front door quietly. His hand rested against the knob for a few seconds longer than needed, his head lowering as if holding himself together before walking in. His white coat hung loose over his arm, tie loosened halfway, the top buttons of his shirt undone. His eyes were red-rimmed from fatigue. He inhaled deeply. That familiar scent of your perfume always clung faintly to the living room air. It gave him a reason to smile, even if for a second. She must be sleeping, he thought, glancing toward the clock on the wall. It's past 11. But then, he froze. There was noise, laughter, bright, full laughter that didn't belong to late-night loneliness. His chest tightened. He followed the sound slowly, the heel of his shoe pressing softly against the carpet as he turned the corner toward the living room. And there you were, sitting cross-legged on the floor in front of the couch, hair messy from movement, wearing one of your oversized t-shirts. A headset covered your ears, and your hands moved frantically over a game controller. Jongsu sat right beside you, leaning forward, just as engrossed, his laughter echoing loudly over the sound of the television. The big TV screen flashed with explosions and fast-moving lights, some kind of combat game. You both had snacks scattered on the coffee table, half-eaten chips, an open soda can, a blanket tossed carelessly beside you. Yin, Jongsu, help me, I'm stuck, you shouted, panicked, eyes wide. He laughed, leaning toward you. Jongsu, you're going the wrong way again, Yin. How many times do I have to tell you? Yin, oh no, he's gonna kill me. Yin, give me the controller, hurry. You passed it into his hands quickly, your shoulder brushing his as you did. He played a few seconds, his fingers moving confidently, then smirked. Jongsu, safe zone, there, you're welcome. You exhaled dramatically, hand on your chest. Silly girl, he teased, chuckling as he ruffled your hair. I've taught you this 50 times already. You grinned again. Yin, I know. And just like that, Jungkook stood there, invisible in his own home. He didn't know what hurt more, the sound of your laughter filling the house or the fact that it wasn't because of him. His hand tightened slightly around his coat, his fingers curling into the fabric. He stood near the doorway, unsure if he should interrupt or just watch a little longer. But he couldn't stand there like a stranger any longer. Clearing his throat, he said softly, Jungkook, hey everyone, hey Yin. You didn't hear him. Of course you didn't. Your headset drowned everything out. He took a few hesitant steps closer, exhaustion visible in the slow drag of his feet. The light from the TV flickered across his face, highlighting the deep shadows under his eyes. Yin, he tried again, a little louder this time. That's when you noticed him. You turned, pulling off one side of your headset, eyes widening slightly. Yin, oh, Jungkook, your voice came out soft, casual. Hey, he managed a small smile. Jungkook, hey, how are you? It felt strange that such a simple question sounded foreign between you two. You and he had been talking so little lately that this simple exchange, asking how the other was, almost felt strange, like something to strangers would say instead of a married couple. You nodded lightly. Yin, I'm fine. How are you? Jungkook, I'm fine too, he said after a pause. Long day. You nodded again. Polite, nothing more. Yin, have you eaten? He forced a small chuckle. Jungkook, yeah, I did. You? Yin, I had dinner with Jongsu. You said easily. He nodded, though the words stung in his chest. Jungkook, that's good. There was a small silence. You smiled politely, then turned back to your game, slipping your headset back on. When he said nothing, from beside you, Jongsu glanced up, noticing his older brother. Jongsu, you look exhausted. Jungkook, he said casually, you should go and sleep early. Don't push yourself. Jungkook gave a faint smile. Jungkook, yeah, I will. But still, he didn't move. He sat down on the single couch beside you both, his palms resting on his knees, eyes scanning the room as though searching for something to say. The laughter, the clicking of controllers, the flashing lights, it all made him feel distant, disconnected. You and Jongsu shared another laugh. He said something funny which Jungkook couldn't even hear, but it made you giggle again. He wanted to feel involved, but he wasn't, not really. He was just a shadow in his own home, watching you both from the sidelines. His eyes lingered on you, your hair falling loosely over your shoulders, your lips parted, your eyes glowing. You looked happier. He wanted to sleep. God, he was so tired, but he didn't want to go to bed alone. He wanted to fall asleep looking at you, hearing your voice, even if you said nothing. But that too seemed impossible tonight. Minutes passed. He sat there silently, his gaze occasionally dropping to the floor, then back to you. Finally, after another short burst of laughter between you and Jongsu, he whispered under his breath, Jungkook, all right, I'll go ahead and sleep first. No one responded because of how low his voice was. The noise of the game drowned his words. You didn't hear him. Jongsu didn't notice. He sat still for a moment waiting, hoping maybe you'd glance back, maybe call his name, maybe say a small goodnight. He looked down at his hands, his thumb brushing his wedding ring. The only sound he could hear now was the small sigh that escaped his lips. He stood up, his tired legs carrying him toward the stairs. For a second, he turned around, one last glance at the two of you. You were there, leaning slightly toward Jongsu as he showed you something on the screen. That image burned in his chest. He swallowed hard, turning away before it hurt more. His steps were slow as he climbed the stairs. The two of you looked like best friends, maybe even more in that light, and the sight pierced him like a quiet knife. It was deep into the night, almost 3 in the morning, when Jungkook finally saw you drift off to sleep beside him. You had quietly slid under the blanket, your soft breathing soon evening out, and he had pretended to be asleep too. But his mind didn't stop. It raced endlessly. He had pulled the blanket more toward your side earlier, making sure you were warm. It was an unconscious act, a quiet way of loving you even when he didn't know how to show it anymore. His mind wouldn't stop racing, replaying every moment from the past few days, every glance, every text, every broken promise. Each memory hit him harder than the last. And now, lying next to you, he finally understood the kind of loneliness he'd left you in, the same loneliness he was drowning in now. His eyes softened as he looked at your sleeping face. You were breathing slowly, your lips slightly parted, hair messy on the pillow. A quiet ache spread through him like a slow poison. Jungkook, I love you. Yin. The words slipped out, trembling and cracked, like they'd been waiting too long to be said. He knew you couldn't hear him. You were deep asleep. But somehow saying it made his throat sting even more. He felt like a failure, a terrible husband who had let his wife find comfort elsewhere, when he should have been the one keeping her safe, happy, loved. He exhaled shakily. He didn't even care about his own loneliness anymore. All he could think about was yours. How it must have felt to reach out for him and find nothing there. He ran a hand over his face, feeling the weight of exhaustion mix with regret. Finally, needing air, he slipped out of bed. The blanket shifted slightly, but you didn't stir. He stood there for a moment, looking at you once more. Then, quietly, he walked across the room, opening the glass door that led to the balcony. The cool night air hit him immediately, his breath visible in the chill. The moonlight painted everything silver. He gripped the balcony railing, leaning forward slightly. Jungkook, do she loves me? His lips trembled. He bit down on his lower lip, trying to stop the shaking in his throat. One fell, then another. And once they started, he couldn't stop, but the tears came anyway. He closed his eyes tightly, tilting his head back to look at the night sky. The stars blurred through the tears. His brows drew together, his mouth parting as he struggled to breathe through the lump in his throat. Jungkook, what do I even do? His voice cracked in the air, fading with the wind. For years, his life had revolved around his profession, saving people, healing others. Being a doctor gave him purpose, pride, and fulfillment. But now, even the thought of it drained him. The hospital walls, the patients, the endless shifts, none of it brought him peace anymore. Because peace wasn't there. It was here, in this house, with you. And every morning when he left, he felt like he was leaving behind the only part of himself that mattered. He wiped at his face roughly with the back of his hand, frustrated at himself, ashamed of the tears. But before he could gather himself, he heard it click. The balcony door opened. His heart stopped. His stomach dropped. Panic hit him instantly. He froze, back still turned, hurriedly wiping his eyes again. But the redness wouldn't fade. His voice would give him away. His trembling hands would give him away. And the last thing he wanted was for you to see him like this. Yin, Jungkook, what are you doing here? He flinched slightly at the sound of your voice. You were awake. He didn't turn around. He kept his gaze fixed on the city lights, pretending to be calm. Jungkook, nothing. Just needed some fresh air. You rubbed your eyes as you stepped closer. Yin, fresh air? It's 3 in the morning. He nodded quickly, eyes fixed ahead. Jungkook, yeah, just couldn't sleep, that's all. But you could see the way his shoulders trembled slightly. Something wasn't right. You hesitated, then reached out, resting your hand gently on his shoulder. His body went stiff immediately under your touch. Yin, you sure you're okay? He swallowed hard. Jungkook, yeah, I'm okay, Yin. But his voice broke, small, quiet, unconvincing. Your brows furrowed. You placed a hand on his bicep instead, trying to turn him toward you, but he resisted. That made your heart drop even more. Yin, Jungkook, look at me. Jungkook, I said I'm okay. Your heart cracked at the sound of his voice, fragile, trembling, almost like a child holding back a sob. You stepped closer, your hand sliding around his other arm, feeling the tension there as you finally managed to turn him toward you. He resisted more, but you didn't let go. And when he finally faced you, your breath caught in your throat. His eyes were red, his cheeks streaked with tears, and his lips trembled slightly as if he'd been biting them to keep quiet. He quickly tried to avert his gaze, ashamed of being caught. Jungkook, you should go back to sleep. I'll come in a minute, please. He tried to raise his hands to his face, to wipe his tears away, but you caught them midway, holding his wrists gently. Yin, what happened, Jungkook? Tell me, is something bothering you? Your tone so gentle it almost broke him again. You could already sense the exhaustion in him. For the last few days, you'd seen how his shoulders drooped when he came home, how his steps had lost their usual confidence. You thought it was just work, but now, looking at him, you realize this was deeper. Jungkook, his voice broke completely, the words melting into a choked sob as he gave up trying to control it. It was useless. His tears spilled again, streaming silently down his cheeks. You didn't say anything. You couldn't. You simply stepped forward and wrapped your arms around him, one around his shoulders, the other circling his waist, pulling him close until your chest was pressed against his. Jungkook, no, I'm not crying, Jungkook, no, I'm not crying, His voice was muffled against your neck. You could feel the tremor in his body, the way his fingers clutched your waist tightly as though you were the only thing keeping him standing. Yin, I know, it's okay. You began rubbing his back slowly, your fingertips tracing the length of his spine, then gliding up to the nape of his neck. Your other hand slipped up into his hair, gently stroking the strands that had fallen over his forehead. Yin, relax, Jungkook. I know you're not crying. You said it softly, the way one might comfort a child, and it worked. His breathing eased a little, though his tears kept falling silently. His grip around you tightened again, pulling you even closer. 10 minutes passed like that. The night air brushed gently against your skin, and the silence between you was comforting. You could feel his tears dampening your shoulder, and you didn't move an inch. Finally, you whispered softly against his ear, Yin, Jungkook, are you okay? He didn't answer. His head rested against your neck, and he simply shook his head slowly. You exhaled, brushing your fingers through his hair once more. Yin, what happened? Can you tell me? You waited, but he stayed silent. Something at work? Are you exhausted? Should I massage you? Is something hurting? You truly wanted to know what was wrong. Your care struck him harder than anything else. He was the one supposed to protect, to take care, to fix, not the one breaking down. Yet here you were, holding him. Jungkook, no, Yin, I want to say something. Yin, say anything you want. I'm listening. Jungkook, do you love me? The question hit like a whisper in the dark. You blinked, taken aback, and pulled back just enough to look at him. You raised your hand to his cheek, wiping away the wet streaks gently with your thumb. Yin, of course I love you. Jungkook, is this even something to ask? You knew how distant you both had become lately, but that didn't mean your love for him had faded. Yin, you're my husband, Jungkook, I love you. Why are you even asking me this? He lifted his gaze slowly, the corner of his lips trembling. Jungkook, I love you too, Yin. I love you so much. Your heart skipped a beat, your lips parted in surprise, words caught in your throat as he continued. Jungkook, I can't stop thinking about you, he continued, his voice shaking slightly. About what you're doing, what's bothering you, what's making you smile, everything. You're always here. He pressed a hand to his chest, and I can't get you out of my head even if I try. You felt the lump in your throat tighten. Tears welled in your eyes as his words kept pouring out, like he had held them back for too long. Jungkook, and as much as I love this feeling, I'm scared, Yin. I'm scared every damn day. What if you stop loving me? What if you wake up one day and realize you deserve someone better? What if one day I lose this? His voice cracked. This warmth, this peace I feel when I'm around you. Yin, no. Jungkook, listen to me. Before you could finish, he reached forward, cupping your cheeks with both hands. His thumbs brushed the tears sliding down your face. Jungkook, I don't want to lose you, Yin. Every single day, I look forward to coming home, just to see you, to hear your voice. But when I walk through that door, I can't tell if you're even happy to see me. You shook your head, panicking at the sadness in his tone. Yin, hey, stop it. Don't say that. You placed your hand over his lips, your thumb trembling as you tried to quiet him. That's not true. I love you, Jungkook. I'm happy when you're home. I feel safe when you're near me. I'm not pretending. He closed his eyes, leaning slightly into your touch, but the pain on his face didn't fade. He gently pulled your hand away and looked straight into your eyes. Jungkook, you spend all your time with Jongsu, laughing, sharing stories, calling him for every small thing, and when I try to talk to you, you barely look at me. You don't even notice when I come home late anymore. Not that I'm complaining. I have no right to, but the words hit you like a punch. His jealousy wasn't ugly. It was desperate. You could see it now. The loneliness, the fear. You swallowed hard, your heart sinking. Yin, Jungkook, he's my brother too, just like yours. You know that. He nodded weakly, a humorless smile tugging at his lips. Jungkook, I know I'm being stupid and insecure. I hate this feeling too. I hate myself for it, but I can't stop it. Yin, I can't pretend it doesn't hurt. I can't stand feeling like a stranger in my own wife's life. Why was he doubting himself? Why did he think he wasn't enough when you loved him completely? Yin, you're not allowed to say that about yourself. You hear me? You cupped his jaw, tilting his face so he couldn't look away. His lips parted, and before either of you could think, yours Lyos pressed against his, a quick, gentle peck, and you pulled back instantly, your cheeks burning. Yin, say yes. His eyes widened, mouth slightly parted, caught completely off guard. Jungkook, yes, I hear you. Yin, good. You ran your fingers through his hair, holding him close. Yin, don't ever say things like that. I love you, only you. I'm not close to anyone the way I am with you. His chest rose and fell quickly, jealousy mixing with relief, feeling foolish for even thinking of you being close to someone else, even his own brother. Jungkook, I feel so dumb. I shouldn't think like that. I'm sorry, Yin. I didn't mean to hurt you or anything. Yin, it's okay. Well, that's what it means to have a heart, isn't it? You feel, you judge, you cry, all because of emotions. It's okay, Jungkook. Your words washed over him. Even as a doctor, logical and controlled, love had made him powerless. Yin, I hear you. I'm sorry if I made you feel ignored. That was never my intention, I swear. Jungkook, no. Why are you sorry? It's my fault I wasn't there for you. I promise I'll be a better husband to you. Yin, you already are a good husband. Jungkook, your work is important, and I know you're trying to balance everything. It's okay. I know you'll figure it out. He pulled you into a tight embrace, letting his relief spill through the hug. You two wrapped your arms around him, your smile wide against his chest. Jungkook, I love you. I love you so much. He hesitated, just a fraction, before leaning closer to your lips. You didn't let him wait. You pressed yours against his, deepening the kiss. His hands slid around your waist, pulling you closer, feeling the curve of your body against his. Yin, I love you more. Jungkook, you whispered against his lips, teeth grazing his as your kiss grew hungrier, more desperate, taking his breath away. Your tongue slid gently into his mouth, and a soft gasp escaped him, caught between surprise and pleasure. His hands tightened on your waist, holding you still as the kiss stretched, your lips moving together. He pulled back slightly, resting his forehead against yours. Jungkook, I don't ever want to lose this. I don't want to lose you, Yin. You smiled softly, cupping his face, pressing a lingering kiss against his lips. Yin, you won't. You'll never lose me. I'm yours, always, you whispered, letting him feel the weight of your truth in your embrace. You lay back on the couch, the soft cushions pressing against your back, while Jungkook rested half his weight on top of you. His head was tucked lightly against your chest, every inhale and exhale brushing across your chest. One hand trailed circles over your collarbone, slow and deliberate, while the other rested loosely across your waist. His eyes roamed from your throat to your chin, following the subtle movements as you spoke, and a soft, small smile lingered on his face. Yin, so, we're really going on a date on Sunday? He pressed a soft kiss to the center of your chest, letting his lips linger there for a heartbeat before moving up to kiss your jawline. His ears tinted pink instantly, and a shyness that you rarely saw crept into his posture. Instead of meeting your gaze, he buried his face in your neck, embarrassed of where he just kissed, the faint brush of his lips sending goosebumps along your skin. Jungkook, yeah, we are, he murmured quietly, betraying the nervous flutter in his chest. You smiled, brushing your lips gently across his forehead. Yin, you know, you're cute when you're shy, you teased softly, letting your hand rest over the nape of his neck. He blinked rapidly, a faint chuckle escaping as he tried to sound serious. Jungkook, I'm not shy, he protested, though the heat rose to his ears. Yin, oh really? You murmured, letting your fingers play through the strands of hair at his temple. Jungkook, and I'm not cute either. Come on, he insisted, trying to lift his head. Yin, oh, you are, you replied, voice warm. Jungkook, no, look at me. I'm not. Does this face look cute? Call me something else, he said, tilting his head slightly, eyes searching yours. You couldn't help yourself. Leaning down, your lips brushed against his, soft and lingering, pulling him closer. Yin, all right, fine, you whispered against his mouth, a small smile playing on your lips. You're not cute. You're so handsome. Jungkook, my heart can't stop racing. He bit back a small, shy smile, eyes flickering between yours and your chest, and pressed himself more firmly against your chest, right above your heart, so he could feel the rapid thrum of your heartbeat. Jungkook, you want to hear mine? He asked, capturing your fingers and placing them over his heart. His pulse was erratic, faster than your own. Yin, oh my, you breathed, heart fluttering as your fingers rested there. You both laughed softly, the sound mingling between you as you settled further into the warmth of each other's arms. Jungkook, I love you so much, Yin, he whispered. Yin, I know. Jungkook, I love you more. He tilted his head, resting it fully against your chest, and nudged your hands to stroke his hair again. Jungkook, love me more. I'm loving this. It feels too good here, he murmured. Yin, oh, sure, I'll pamper you as much as you want, you said softly, running your hands down his back. He let out a small, happy sigh, pressing closer. Jungkook, yes please, he breathed. His hands squeezed your waist gently, pulling you closer. The two of you stayed like that, hearts beating, breaths mingling, and for the first time in days, it felt like nothing else in the world existed but the two of you. It was early morning, the soft light of dawn filtering through the curtains, painting the room in gold. Jungkook was fully dressed, sitting upright on the edge of the bed, his hands resting lightly on his knees, his gaze fixed on the door. He was waiting, patiently, for you, waiting for the kisses you had promised him last night before sleep. A small smile kept tugging at the corners of his lips, and he caught himself grinning again and again. He was already addicted to your kisses, to the warmth of your lips on his, and he didn't even try to hide it. You stepped out of the bathroom, your hair still damp from your fresh morning shower, and froze for a moment when you saw him. Yin, oh, you're still here, you said softly, a small smile tugging at your lips. I've made breakfast. Jungkook, go and eat it. He frowned slightly, his eyes narrowing, a mix of confusion and mock annoyance in his expression. Jungkook, did you already forget? His voice was low, hesitant, and there was a softness to it that made your heart clench. You tilted your head, a little puzzled, but before you could ask, he hesitated, then spoke, a tiny nervous laugh escaping him. Jungkook, Yin, you. His words faltered, like he wasn't sure how to say it. But after last night, after everything that had changed between you two, he didn't want to hold anything back. A soft, almost breathless sound escaped his lips. Jungkook, my kisses. Your eyes widened, the realization hitting you in a rush, and a rush of warmth spread through your chest. Yin, oh, I'm so sorry, you whispered. Before he could respond, you ran to him, your hands cupping his face gently. You pressed your lips against his forehead, lingering for a heartbeat before moving down to his nose, his cheeks, his chin, even pressing his lips lightly with yours. He laughed softly into the kisses, a deep, warm sound that made your stomach flutter. Slowly, he returned each kiss, his shyness melting away, replaced by a boldness you hadn't seen before. He kissed you with a new intensity, like he was making up for every second he had held back, every emotion he had kept buried. Finally, you pulled back slightly, brushing your nose against his, your eyes closing as his heart raced against yours. Yin, come on, let's eat, you whispered, making his chest flutter. Jungkook, thank you, he murmured, still holding your gaze. Yin, for what? You asked, tilting your head, your hands sliding down to lace with his as you led him toward the door. Jungkook, for everything, he said simply, yet full of something deeper, something you felt in your bones. You gave a small chuckle and tugged him gently by the hands. Yin, I've got you, my love. Now let's go eat. He hesitated for a moment, then, remembering last night's conversation, his voice softened. Jungkook, did you get any emails? You shook your head gently, biting your lip, knowing exactly what he meant. Your job? Yin, not yet, but I know I will. I'll get one soon. He nodded, brushing his thumb gently across your hand before leaning in to press a soft, reassuring kiss to your lips. Jungkook, it's okay. Don't rush. Everything will be all right. I'm here, always, always. A laugh escaped you as you hugged him tightly, your arms wrapped around his neck. Yin, I know, my love, you whispered. He blushed slightly, burying his face in your hair, tightening his hold on you. Jungkook, oh, I love you so much. You both swayed slightly, the morning sunlight bathing you in warmth as he held you close. After a long, slow moment, hand in hand, you finally moved toward the kitchen, ready to start the day together. Jongsu chewed thoughtfully, his eyes flicking between you and Jungkook. Jongsu, what's wrong with you? Jungkook, he asked casually, though the concern in his tone was obvious. You're so red. Are you sick or something? Jungkook froze, his fork midway to his mouth, cheeks flaming. Jungkook, what? No, nothing, he stammered, trying to sound normal but failing completely. Jongsu raised an eyebrow, smirking slightly. Jongsu, red like this isn't normal. You look like you both had last night. Jungkook choked on his food, coughing violently, his cheeks flaming an even deeper shade of red. He looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. Your own heart was racing so fast your chest felt tight. A warm blush spread across your cheeks. You glared at Jongsu, yet a small, helpless smile threatened to escape. Yin, shut up and eat, you moron. Jungkook's hands trembled slightly on his fork, and his eyes darted between you and Jongsu. Utterly flustered, he opened his mouth to speak, but before Jungkook could even protest, your fingers were already on him. You cupped his jaw gently, your thumbs brushing over his flushed cheeks. Yin, look at me, you said softly, leaning closer. Your thumb brushed against his skin, just along his cheekbones. Are you feeling cold? Jungkook, I'm fine, he mumbled finally, voice barely above a whisper. Just a little, a little. You smiled faintly, a teasing glint in your eyes, loving how flustered he had become. You leaned forward and pressed a soft peck to his lips. Yin, it's okay. Come on, eat now, you'll be late. Jongsu suddenly threw his hands up, laughing loudly. Jongsu, I know the reason now. I know the reason. Jungkook's head dropped slightly, shyly avoiding your gaze. Jongsu, new love problem. I get it, Jongsu continued, grinning ear to ear. Blush as much as you want, brother. You look more human like this. Jungkook, shut up and eat, Jongsu. He finally shot back, his voice a mix of embarrassment and irritation, though the pink in his cheeks betrayed how flustered he truly was. You and Jongsu shared a small laugh, enjoying the rare moment of vulnerability in Jungkook. He fidgeted in his seat, poking at his food but barely tasting it. Jungkook, I'm leaving now, I'm getting late, he finally muttered, standing abruptly, cheeks still burning. Yin, oh, sit back down and eat first, you said, reaching out to gently nudge him back into the chair. Jongsu raised his hands, mock surrender on his face. Jongsu, yes, I'm silent now, he said, though a playful smirk lingered on his lips. Jungkook sighed, rubbing his temples, heart still racing. He sat back down, sneaking a glance at you. Your soft, amused smile made him feel weak in the knees. Every teasing word, every gentle touch, every playful peck from you had left him flustered beyond reason. He couldn't help it. He didn't want this moment to end. Even in front of Jongsu, in the middle of breakfast, he felt your presence like a weight and a comfort both at the same time. He realized he would never get tired of this closeness, never stop longing for your attention. And the thought made his chest ache with happiness and desire all at once, and he felt like a fool to even doubt your love for a second.